The Health Minister, Stephen Kinnock, joins me now. A very good morning to you. Thanks for talking to us this morning. We've just had the latest GDP figures, the latest growth figures out for February, Stephen Kinnock, showing the economy grew by 0.5%, better than expectations. But given that Rachel Reeves has said that growth is the government's #1 mission, is it enough?
Well, it's very very encouraging to see the figures because they are higher than expected. I think what we're seeing is the dividend from a government that is stable, is focused on our growth mission, and is absolutely committed to supporting businesses across the country in terms of getting investment in, giving them the certainty they need. We're unleashing the planning, if you like, freeing up planning so that can unleash businesses to invest. We are getting new rights for employees, which will, I think, really help to get a better relationship between employers and employees going across the economy. And we're seeing the rise in the living wage, which I think is also helping to put more money into the economy, giving consumers more confidence, and that mixture of supply side and demand side measures are really helping to build an economy that is fit for the future.
You talk about giving certainty, but in fact, an awful lot has changed since these February figures, and there's a lot of uncertainty around, given that Donald Trump has announced his sweeping tariffs. The UK has 10% tariffs. There's also very large tariffs going each way between the US and China. I mean, that's going to severely affect growth in the UK looking forward, isn't it?
Well, we are seeing a lot of turbulence in the global economy, but we're also seeing a prime minister who is showing real leadership and statesman-like qualities in terms of rebuilding our relations with our European partners and allies, so badly damaged after years of conservative failure and incompetence. And he's also developing good connections with colleagues over on the other side of the Atlantic. And that is important because we've got to, as an open trading nation, we've got to be able to build bridges and links across the world. And that is what this Prime Minister is doing. So, of course, there is some turbulence. The key for us is to say, how do we respond to that? How do we ensure that we act in the national interest? And how do we ensure that we, as an open trading nation, continue to prosper in the new world order that is emerging?
You talk about Keir Starmer showing real leadership, but Labour's former deputy leader, Harriet Harman, has talked to Sky News as part of the podcast that she does with our political editor. She has said that Keir Starmer needs to tell Donald Trump that he's wrong about tariffs. Does he need to take a tougher stance here?
I think what matters is what we're doing to support British business and to act in the national interest. And I do understand colleagues such as yourself are keen for us to give a running commentary on what President Trump is doing and saying, but we feel that it's much better to show that we are acting in the national interest, that we are continuing to be very vigilant. And of course, the Prime Minister has said all options are on the table. And if it does come to the point where retaliation is needed, then we are, of course, ready to do that. But as things stand, I think the strategy of keeping cool, calm heads is the one that is working because, as you say, things change so much all the time. If we were to just jump in one direction or the other every time there's a new development, we would be jumping around all over the place. And I don't think that that's going to be in the interests of our economy or of our national security or of our business community.
And I'm not asking you for a running commentary on this, but I do want your view of how optimistic you feel about the UK managing to strike a trade deal with the US, given that Donald Trump's top economic advisor has said that it would take an extraordinary deal for any country to get an exemption from the 10% rate. Are you concerned about that? Are you losing hope about getting a trade deal?
Things change all the time, so I think it's best for us to stay focused on the fact that we have that objective of getting a trade deal with the United States, and Johnny Reynolds and the Prime Minister and other colleagues are very focused on getting that deal. But of course, we also have to be prepared for the eventuality that we don't get it immediately, or that it takes some time to come. And what that means is we've got to build a United Kingdom that stands strongly on its own 2 feet. And a big part of that is going to be the industrial strategy that we're bringing forward shortly. And that industrial strategy is going to be focused on the skills agenda, the infrastructure agenda, the energy agenda, all of the ingredients that you need to start to rebuild our manufacturing sector and make us a really strong exporting nation again. And that, I think, is what we have to do. We hope that that will be allied with a good trade deal with the United States, with a removal of friction in terms of relations with the European Union. You know, let's not forget the European Union is still, by some margin, our most important trading partner. And so that combination of getting the trade policies right with an industrial strategy that builds our own capability is the right way to go. And that is the way that the government is committed to going.
OK, well, talking of an industrial strategy, the Business Secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, you mentioned him before, he has also hosted steel talks this week. Will Scunthorpe workers have jobs to go to next week, do you think?
Well, I'm speaking to you today from Port Talbot, from my constituency, and we've been through a transition here which has been very, very tough. And families and communities and steelworkers right across my constituency have been through a very tough and uncertain time. And so my heart goes out to those in steelworkers and their families and communities in Scunthorpe that are facing very challenging times as well. It's absolutely clear that we're focused on getting a commercial deal with Xingye, the owners of the Scunthorpe Steelworks. That commercial deal, I think, can put the steelworks on a solid footing to ensure that it's competitive and viable. And I know that the Business Secretary, Johnny Reynolds, and his team are absolutely focused, alongside Community Union, the Steelworkers Union, on negotiating a good deal with that steel company for the workers in that plant and for the broader economy. Steel is an absolutely vital, foundational industry for our economy, for our national security, and this government is committed to building a strong steel industry after many years of neglect from our Conservative predecessors, and we will ensure that that happens. But the right way forward is for a commercial deal, so that you have a business managing in a fast-moving market, a highly competitive market. That is what's best for the future of the steel industry, and that is the deal in that partnership is what we need to build.
Sorry to rush you. There are just a couple more things I just wanted to get onto. One is the fact that today you're announcing that over 100,000 extra people have been treated on time since Labour took over in government. But according to the latest NHS figures, there are currently just 59.2% of people who are seen within the 18-month target. So is that good enough?
We inherited such a dire situation in terms of our NHS, and we have set a very bold target, which is that we think 92% of patients should be seen within 18 weeks from referral to treatment. And as you rightly say, we are a long way from that, but we are building piece by piece. We are getting and step by step, we're getting back onto the road to recovery. We promised when we took over in July that we would deliver 2 million appointments, elective appointments, in the first year. We've smashed that target today. I'm really delighted to say we've hit 3.1 million. We've seen waiting lists drop now for 6 months in a row, and we've had a total of 219,000 people removed from the waiting lists. and we have got a 100,000 additional people who are being seen within that 18-week target. So there's still a very long way to go. But I would also point out, of course, that the measures that enabled us to do this in the budget back in the autumn that the Chancellor brought forward, the Conservatives, Reform and the Liberal Democrats all voted against those measures. So I do think they should also come clean. If they support the investment that's come into the NHS, how would they have paid for it? Would it have been by more cuts to our public services, is the question I would put to them. So we've got a long way to go. We are putting our shoulders to the wheel. We're getting the job done, but we absolutely recognise that there's still a serious amount of work to be done in order to get our NHS back on its feet and fit for the future.
And finally and briefly, because I know I have to let you go, I did just want to ask you, a lot of the papers are highlighting the fact that the Chancellor has taken more free tickets this time to the National Theatre and dinner, apparently worth £260. After all the fuss over the Sabrina Carpenter tickets, is that a problem?
I think the Chancellor has spoken on this and said that she went to a concert with her family, and I think she herself said that she's reflecting on that, and of course that is right and proper that she's come out, declared everything in the correct way, and I think we are facing a lot of big challenges as a government. The world is changing. There's a huge amount to deal with, and I think the Chancellor is doing a fantastic job in terms of taking our economy forward, spearheading our government's focus on growth and on bringing investment into the United Kingdom. We've just seen the big announcement around the Universal Studios in Bedfordshire. 28,000 jobs there, I think. We're seeing wages ahead of inflation for a long time. We're seeing really good growth figures, 0.5% above expectations. The Chancellor is doing an absolutely fantastic job, and it's thanks to her leadership that we're also being able to deliver these encouraging targets and achievements in terms of our NHS, with the waiting lists going down, all of that thanks to the budget that the Chancellor brought forward in the autumn. So she's doing a great job, and we're grateful for her leadership.
Stephen Kinnock, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.